Greetings hobbyists, this is Artisans of All, and it's a wonderful day! Machine Tools 1.1 is now released and it's got a new feature that I really want to show you. So if you've followed the channel at all, you will know that I love Machine Tools. It's a free tool if you go to Gumroad, but I would really suggest that you give some money towards this. It's supporting the developers and honestly it's worth it. This thing's amazing. There's also a Deus Ex version of this tool which costs $10 and has a few additional features. This is the one that I use. To be honest, I got it mostly just to give the designers some money, but the extra features are nice. So let's first have a look at what this new feature is similar to, so that we can make a good comparison. So there's already a similar feature to this found in HardOps. The only difference being that HardOps is a paid for add-on, so let's have a look at that first. If I just G this over here, and then let's Shift and A, and I'm going to bring in a quad sphere, and let's shrink that down. The mirror tool is really useful. In fact, let's go into Edge mode and Control and B that, just so we can see what we're doing. So the mirror tool of HardOps is activated by pressing Alt and X, and you get this funky tool coming up, and if we change this to, let's say, symmetry, it will symmetrize around itself. So if I click over here, that bevel has also been transferred over to the other side. All good. I'm going to undo that. And there was more to it as well. For example, if you selected a second object, so this was the active object, once you press Alt and X, if you change this to a modifier, which means a mirror modifier, and I click that, it will mirror it to the other side. Great. Very, very nice. And there was one final thing that you could do, so I'm going to undo that, which was if you selected, well, one or two or however many objects, if you pressed Alt and X and you click that button to have more options, you could change this to work off of the cursor. And you'll notice that the tool changes location, and again, if I click over there, we've mirrored both objects off of the cursor, and it's created an empty here, which is really cool because I can move that empty around to affect the mirror, which is quite nice because you want to be able to have that level of control if something changes. And then inevitably you're just going to come in here and hide the mirror. Now, if we want to symmetrize things, we're still going to have to do it that way. But now, instead of having to click, shift click, and then Alt X, and then, oh, I need to change that back to the active object, and then click here, the new Machine Tools version is just that wee bit faster. And that bit faster counts when you're going to do a lot of things. So if you press Shift, Alt, and X, you get this awesome flick icon, and if you just drag your mouse along to the side, so for example we wanted this along the y-axis, then it will mirror it there. And if I actually just G and Z that up, you can see that we can do this in any axis, so, and then just straight up. I mean, look how fast it is. Oh, let's do it over there. It's so quick. Shift Alt X, wonderful. Now what's really cool about this is it still does have that same feature where we can do this across the cursor. It's just Shift Alt X, press C, and you'll notice that it changes from what it's going to mirror across, which is the active object, to new cursor, and then we just go like that and it's done the same thing. Now what I find nicer about this new version of the tool, which also is faster as well, is that it has actually created an empty here. If I shift click the cursor away, it's just that it automatically gets hidden. And let's be honest, 99% of the time you're going to want that hidden. It's not going to be something that you actually want. So why not have it as a hidden thing? Now it is visible up here, so you can unhide it, and there we go, it's just there. And there is one thing that I would note down, is that it does name itself after the object that's active that you're using. So if I, let's say, undo this and just come back to this point, and we've got this cube here. If I press F2 to rename this, and I call this tester, and do the same thing, let's Control Shift and put the cursor back to the origin. If I press Shift Alt X, C, and then do the same thing, the hidden empty that's been created has got a name that makes it easier to find. This is the tester, it's called tester mirror. And let's say I shift click there, I can then go Shift Alt X, C, across, and it's created a test sphere mirror. Now what's even more cool about this, if I just go back, is this is just so clever. If I bring the cursor back to the origin, remember there's already an empty here. We can't see it, but it's there. And if I decide I do want to mirror this, notice the cursor is back in the same place. If I press Shift Alt X and then C, it asks if you want to do it from the existing cursor because it knows there's already an empty there. Or, and notice the coding is down at the bottom, okay, so you can see that there. If I press E, it's going to make a new cursor, which is in exactly the same place, and you can see that appear there. So I've got two options here. I can either Shift-Alt-X, C, go to the side, and now I've only got one empty that's going to affect both. Or if I undo that, same thing again, we've still got that mirroring empty there. In fact, let's make that visible. If I Shift-Alt-X, C, but I don't want the existing cursor, notice it says that in the center in blue so you know what it's doing, so I press E, it's created a separate cursor. So if I move this one, it's only going to move this object. If I make this one appear, it's just going to move that object. Oh, it's just so smart. I love it. Absolutely love it. Now, I'm just going to delete these and just explain why having this empty is so important, just quickly. If I bring in, let's say, I don't know, I'm going to bring in a cone just so it's something different, and I move that over here. The reason we like this empty, the reason we want this to exist, even though 99% of the time we're not going to do something with it, if I decide that I want this to actually be mirrored around this, let's say it's an object I've created later, all I need to do is move this to that object. And with machine tools, that's as simple as clicking the object we want to move, shift clicking the object that we want it to go to, Alt and A, and it's there. Though I will add in preferences, that is using the align tool, so you do have to have that activated. And there we go. Absolutely brilliant in my mind. So much utility and so much hidden background stuff that you can do with this that you might not even know is there, but it's so powerful when you do. So hopefully understanding how that tool works a little bit better, especially with these created empties that are hidden, is going to be useful to you. Please do give it a like if you did, and if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe for more great content. And do let me know what you think of this addition to Machine Tools. Have a great day, guys. That.